All right, we'll bring the Parks and Rec Advisory Board meeting for March 18th, 2026 to order. First, request staff confirmation that the Kansas Open Meeting Act required notice has been properly provided.
Yes, it was.
Okay, we'll move on to roll call.
Larry Penkratz.
Kevin Janaszek.
John Miller.
And we do have Ashley Campbell on Zoom. So.
Yep, Ashley Campbell.
So yeah, thank you. I just want to verify we do have a quorum for this meeting. We have four advisory board members present of the 7, and it does constitute a quorum for this board. Thank you.
Okay. We'll move on to Citizens Forum. Citizens are welcome to give presentations or ask questions of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, strictly limited to 5 minutes. And I know we have some folks here for some of the public hearings we're going to have, so we'll get to that when we get to those agenda items. But anybody else here want to speak about anything that's not on the agenda? Okay. We'll move on to approval of the agenda. Anybody have any changes they want to make to the agenda? If not, I'll take a motion.
I'll motion we approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion passes. And now we're going to approve the minutes from the previous meeting, and I know we have a couple of things we want to address on that. So, John, I'll let you.
Yeah, we had one adjustment. I was here at the last meeting. It has me as on the call. It said it didn't have me listed on it.
Yep. And then on
Yes,
number.
I was absent.
Yep. And then on number 2, Manuel, on the introduction of guests, just a typo there. It says Brain, and that was supposed to be Brian. So no big deal there. But
We don't want to make Brian too smart.
so okay. So I'll take a motion to approve the minutes with those changes made. Make a motion.
Second, or I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes.
I'll
the
second.
adjustments.
I'll second.
All right, a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Wait for Ashley. Oh, she's on mute.
Aye, sorry.
No problem. I didn't know how much of a delay there was there. So, opposed, same sign.
There's a
Motion passes. All right, let's move on to activity reports, Jeff.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to try to keep it brief. And staff are going to try to keep it brief. And I usually go through a handful of items just to point out to the board of the activity reports because there's so much content here. But we do have a pretty full new business section, so I wanted to keep it brief. Park staff, based on an earlier naming thing we did with the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, Park staff removed the Earl Bondi baseball monument from Sunset area. It's in storage now until we refurbish the area in between Field 1 and 2 with new concrete in that area in between Field 1 and 2.
And that's at Markley Field.
That's at Fields 1 and 2 at Berkeley Family Recreational Area. Thank you for clarifying that. Finishing up our some of our last details at Barkley Park, putting in benches and new dog waste stations. It has a little trash can with it and it has a dispenser with it. We have ordered a fourth shelter shade structure for the pod there, and that'll be sometime this summer that'll arrive and be installed. Landscaping staff are approving or are doing quite a bit of downtown work. And then Kenwood Cove, Oakdale Park. Let's see. I had this. I had a copy of this with little check marks I was going to go through. I wanted to point out one thing that Travis worked on and accomplished was getting an ice machine at Dean Evans Stadium. Otherwise, we were moving ice from all kinds of other locations. So now we have a dedicated ice machine. And that was somewhat of a partnership with Visit Salina. They contributed some funds to make that happen because of those big events we hold there and then in partnership with Visit Salina. And then I think that's all I had pointed out, unless Travis has a few items he wished to.
Yeah, just a few. I'll keep it brief. There's therapeutic recreation and trips and tours programs in there. You can read through pretty popular programs. And then our final tally for toddler time was 678. So that's a good one. There's talks of maybe doing one for the summer when we're deep into the summer and it's hot. So we're working on that.
Nice job.
Yeah. So that's all Sarah. So give her kudos, all right. Recreation program with a field house. I think I mentioned homeschool is very prevalent, in the facility. Not only just Smoky Valley Homeschool, which is based out of Salina, but other homeschools are using it too. So we had another one that the state tournament was hosted in the Salina Field House, and then moved to a different location Saturday. But so there's not only are we hosting a national tournament there, we're hosting a state tournament. So thought I'd mention that. Another one that caught my eye was the Smoky Valley Homeschools Association. They schedule a tournament, and unfortunately weather got them. They rescheduled. They had originally 49 teams, and they rescheduled and still had 47. That's rare. That's very, very rare to have that many teams come back to a different date that wasn't even scheduled. And so I thought I'd point that out. MEYB hosted a big one that was 61 teams in a Saturday, so that's big. And then following that, HOA, it's a volleyball association. They had a Saturday tournament with 25 and then a Sunday tournament with 20. So totaling 45 teams. That's a big weekend. So kudos to them. As far as leagues and everything, our adult volleyball is 30 teams. That's our spring's going to be even more. And then our youth basketball league finished their program with 23 teams on Tuesday nights. So just a reminder, we did accomplish all this with 2 full-time positions down. Yep. So kudos to those our existing full-time staff members to keep on trucking away. So that's all I got.
Splash Park going in Jerry Ivy, right? It's looking good. People quit calling me.
They finished concrete last week.
Oh, that's down here. I'm sorry.
And then I can talk about it now if you wish.
Sure.
Yeah, we had a little. We had to get some permits and some inspections. A permit underway that was quickly done by our Development Services Department, and that allowed them to move forward. They put in the rock foundation. They put in piping. They did all the tests for that, for pressure tests. It's actually a smoke test, and then fill that. Put rock on top of that. Poured concrete last week. Then I went there this morning. I saw they had dug a hole for the storage unit for water. That's the tank. And then Dennis told me that they were putting it in today. The crane is on site, and they dropped in a new storage tank and then dropped in a mechanical unit on top of that. But all signs to me look like we're meeting the time frame. We're about a week behind on the time frame, but I think they're catching up. I think they're making up time. And I think all signs point to me being able to open up, to be able to have the splash pad turned over to the city mid-April, and then do owner training, get it all fine-tuned and ready to run for that 1st of May, which is our typical opening date for splash pads. So,
yep.
Pretty exciting.
Anything else on the activity report?
I don't have anything else to provide. I don't think unless staff has something. But if there's any questions that you might have about anything I mentioned, please let me know. Or anything we didn't mention, sorry.
TPEC had the state wrestling and basketball tournaments. That was great to see all the numbers.
Yeah, kids wrestling, state wrestling, basketball. And this is their busy month. And then they have the farm show coming up, and if you recall last year, there was a news story about Equifest not returning to Salina. They are relocating this year, I believe, to Topeka. So that's something that we lost at the Tony's Pizza Event Center, and it really took over that whole area. But I think they're looking to replace that event with another event, probably for next year.
Any other questions? All right, moving on to new business.
So you have some images in your packet I provided. I was approached about a month or two ago from a Eagle Scout. Her name is Zemi Higdon. and she is a scout who is pursuing her Eagle Scout project. And what she wanted to do was a communication board, which I provided some examples of communication boards that, and these images were from Kearney, Kansas. It's Kearney, right? You say it Kearney with a K?
Nebraska?
Yeah. Not Kansas, Nebraska.
Okay.
Kearney,
Yeah.
Nebraska. I said Kansas. Sorry. Kearney, Nebraska. Not Kearney, Nebraska. I found these images where they put in a communication board at a playground in Kearney. And this is similar to what Ms. Higdon would like to do. Cool. This is what we propose, and I met with Ms. Higdon 2 weeks ago, and she is developing and going to be fundraising for this project. I asked her if she'd be willing to come to this advisory board and seek your input and also your recommendation possibly to move forward. I have a picture of Bill Burke. It's a site view of where I think it should go, that brand new playground we're about to open up at Bill Burke. And then this is a horrible picture, but it's a trash can there, and it's showing the playground in process. But that's about where I would speculate that the sign would go. And as someone's walking into the playground area, they would find this communication board. Zemi, do you want to explain what people do with a communication board? But I would like to invite Zemi up to speak if she's willing.
Right here?
Yes, right there, right, yep, right
Sweet.
there. You're good.
So communication boards help nonverbal kids or kids who struggle communicating their needs. It helps them like make friends and tell others where they want to go, what they want to do, and like what they want to play with at the park.
Yeah, some of the things we were talking back and forth about, pointing to something and showing these are swings. I want to go to the swings, or I need to go to the bathroom.
For the audience, it's kind of like this, and they can point to different signs.
Yep.
It's really a cool thing, yeah.
To add to some of the things we talked about, Zemi and I, were that we don't have any communication boards currently in any of our playgrounds that I'm aware of, that I know of, in the city of Salina, for the city of Salina. There may be communication boards with the school district playgrounds, but I'm not sure of that, but I'm just not aware of one. So this would be the first one in town, and Zemi would be groundbreaking and be the first one in doing it for her Eagle Scout project. But also I want to think she would want to say that, she is looking to fundraise for this project, and she is looking for opportunities to get out there in the public and make a pitch, make her elevator pitch to see if anybody wants help with that.
Yeah, make sure you come talk to me because I can get you at Ambucks. I'm sure Ambucks will sponsor this.
Yep. I was thinking the same thing.
Thank you, Zemi.
We're both Ambucks, so
If there's any questions about that,
I would just have one. How much do you think, fundraising-wise, how much do you think you would need to be able to do this?
As of right now, I already know that I have a donation for the print of the sign, and it really depends on the size that we want to do. I'm looking for like suggestions on that and stuff. So it's a very rough estimate. Like, I'm not 100% sure yet.
Okay.
just get with us. We'll get it funded.
I do have one question about the park itself. Jeff, can you talk about the equipment that's there and like the inclusiveness with like ramps and things like that? Is any of that going to be included? Because sometimes these children that have communication difficulties need other adaptive things as far as ramps and different equipment than a typical child.
Right. The Bill Burke playground was a replacement for the existing playground that was there. It is a playground unit, if you will. It's a kind of a structure, and then there's a swing set. It was not designed specifically for inclusivity in mind, or accessibility in mind. The accessibility portions of it are complying with ASTM guidelines. The manufacturers do that, but it was not designed and built for that in mind. Some of our conversations were with Zemi and I were We are planning for a future playground that we do have accessibility and inclusivity in mind. But that's where I'm about 2 years out on that. And that's not going to meet Zemi's timeline so she can accomplish her goal of becoming an Eagle Scout. So my suggestion was putting it at the newest playground we have, which is Bill Burke. And this would be the example that we would set for many other playgrounds as we progress. I hope that answers your question, Ashley.
Get it off. Yes, it does. Sorry, I was having trouble getting it off mute. Yes, it does. Thank you.
Any other questions?
And I think Zemi would really appreciate a recommendation from the board.
So we could, I say that we move that we send a recommendation to the City Commission for the Communication Board project for Bill Burke. Would that be rightfully worded?
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Congratulations. All right, on to the hearing for naming for parking lot at Santa Fe and Ash.
So this is the start of 4 separate public hearings or hearings at the Parks and Rec Advisory Board for naming exercises. This board I've done several of these naming exercises, processes, if you will, naming processes or naming initiatives. The first one is first of all, I will briefly touch on the policy relating to the process I'm going through. I'm not going to talk about it in detail because I've talked about it several times. There is a resolution and a process that is set aside for the city to acknowledge naming requests. There's an application. The initiative has a determination whether it's what type of naming it is, whether it's a municipal naming or a philanthropic naming, honorary naming, landmark naming, or a commercial naming, and then there's a process that goes along with that. The application is part of the process. The city clerk to acknowledge that it fits within the guidelines and meets the guidelines for the municipal naming guidelines, the process. Then there's the third step, which is where we're at right now, to the appropriate board. All these locations, the first location that you have is the parking lot at the corner of Santa Fe and Ash Street. There's not a specific board for parking lots. However, this board, the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, is probably the closest board that would come in to be able to acknowledge this request. There is a multi-function, multi-department responsibility for that area, for the stage. It is a parking lot, so it's kind of a public works space. However, the structures that go into it is a Parks and Rec responsibility. The landscaping that goes into it, the lighting, the irrigation, the trees, are all Parks and Rec responsibilities. So it makes sense that it kind of is under this board. Part of the packet I provided to you was a letter from Salina Downtown, from Leslie Bishop, who's the executive director of Salina Downtown, requesting the naming for the new stage. That is, the new pavilion, which is for the farmers market, and shade structures for the farmers market, also for some covered parking. They want to name it City Lights Pavilion. I provided some schematics of some conceptual drawings of what that shade structure is going to look like when it's complete. And it's actually under construction now. Looks like they're putting in footers and getting ready to. Next step might be to assemble the structure, but I haven't seen it show up yet. But also, then there's already a sign. Concept of what the sign will look like for the pavilion. I forgot to mention one step. One of the first steps is the city commission has to declare the area eligible for naming, and we did that earlier with the city commission. The area where the stage was at was already declared, but it was just for the stage. So we went ahead and declared the whole area eligible for naming. So the pavilion could be included in that. And there are people here in support of that naming request for the City Lights Pavilion. And I do need to take these kind of one at a time and get a recommendation separately for each of them. So if Ms. Bishop or Ms. Kitchen would like to speak on behalf of this naming request, I appreciate it.
Good afternoon, Leslie Bishop, Salina Downtown Incorporated. I appreciate your open-mindedness to bring this before you. I think we've been hoping for this shade structure for as long as I've been in my role. I don't know how many of you have participated in any of our outdoor concerts that we had several years ago, but it's hot, especially when we have our concerts, and so hot sometimes that the chairs will sink into the asphalt. This will allow for much more enjoyable outdoor concerts, our outdoor family movie night, and of course the Farm and Art Market downtown. It will provide for our vendors at the Farm and Art Market. There'll be some fans that will be on the interior of that shade structure that will allow for some air movement. It will provide shade for the bands that are performing on City Light Stage, which is huge because the way the sun falls for the entire concert, most generally those bands are in the direct sunlight. And of course during the day, allow for covered parking for our guests that come downtown or are doing business downtown. Katie Kitchen can speak more to the schematics of what it will all look like. I do, once the shade structure's up, I hope to visit with Mr. Hammond and see what Salina Downtown could do, possibly putting some permanent lighting on the frame so that it's always lit, so it adds to, just to allow for less shenanigans, if you will. But also, it will also, that intersection is becoming busier and busier, and what a wonderful sight line that will give as people are coming downtown, and then with the entry coming in off of Santa Fe. I appreciate Katie Kitchen keeping the Art Deco design as you're driving into the parking lot. But most generally, it's going to just add another element to what we're doing downtown to make downtown a neighborhood for everyone to enjoy. Any questions?
So that will be right beside the building, right to the north of the building where the current driveway is? That's where the structure
Yeah, it
go?
will be, when you pull in right there off of Santa Fe, that will be where the structure will be. The other nice thing that's going to happen, there will be some added electricity. There will be some added water. That will benefit mostly, for like the Crossroads Marathon, their post-race celebration. It will help us when Diane is out watering the beautiful hanging baskets that we also hope to hang from the shade structure once we get approval for all of those things. So we're hoping that we can add to it above and beyond what already has been designed for the shade structure. Right. I can't tell you how excited we are. And we have, Salina Downtown Incorporated has gotten permission from Todd Miller to move our farmers market to that connecting parking lot to the west that the county, I guess, has responsibility of. And so temporarily, until the shade structure is complete, our farm and art market will temporarily be moved there. We're hopeful, because we don't have many produce vendors at the beginning of the season. Tomatoes just aren't in yet. So we will have a temporary home for the market, which opens on May 16th.
Just to give a point of reference, Ms. Bishop mentioned Todd Miller. He's the building authority for this building. He's responsible for that parking lot that's catty corner from the city-county building, and I believe that's the lot you're referring to.
Yes.
He has maintenance responsibility and some ownership responsibility on behalf of the county, and that's who she's referring to. And so that's where I park normally, and also I'll have to be relocated. So.
Well, but really not, because it will just be on Saturday morning.
That's true. That's true.
The reason that parking lot is a little bit more accessible for us to use as a market, it's much easier to block than the parking lot. We were thinking of the parking lot across the street, where the chamber, and however, we have to have cars. The way that the city has so graciously worked with us, that the cars that are, if left overnight, in the current parking lot where the market is, we can tow those cars before the market opens. And I'm fearful, after talking just going into that other parking lot, there's lots of cars that are left overnight, which I'd rather be safe than sorry. But this parking lot will allow for us to block it easier because there's only one entrance.
Yeah, right.
Anything else for me?
Nope.
Katie?
Nope.
It's up to you. I mean, if the board has questions.
Yeah, that's fine. Catherine Kitchen. I work for Blue Beacon and we've taken a leadership role in helping this project come together. I will say on the naming, we felt like the space needed a marketing standpoint to really have something that identifies the space so that people can, like Leslie, can tell a good story about the space or other people that are having events. And so that's why we have played off the City Light stage name to present this name. That's all I had to add to that. So unless you have other specific questions about the project.
The City Light stage, that's not official at all. That's just kind of what everybody's been calling it.
That is an official naming.
Oh, that is? Okay.
Yeah. I did not do that, a naming exercise, and it didn't come before this board because it was primarily an entertainment thing.
Okay.
Went through the Arts Commission board or Arts Community Art and Design Board, one of the two. And but it was declared a named facility for the city of Salina, and it is City Light Stage. Okay. So, as Ms. Kitchen mentioned, it kind of ties in together quite nicely.
Right. Okay.
So again, if the board doesn't have any more questions, we would appreciate a recommendation whether or not to move forward or move to the city commission. I have this planned. I have all four of these naming exercises planned for April 13th in front of the city commission.
You'll make a recommendation.
Yeah, but you have to ask for one.
Make a recommendation.
Yeah. I'll move to name the City Lights Pavilion parking lot the City Lights Pavilion. Does that make sense?
The parking lot.
You want to name the City Lights Pavilion?
Yeah, that was at the corner of Ash and Santa Fe.
I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right. Motion passes. On to the next hearing.
Yes. So all three of the remaining naming exercises are related to the future river renewal, the Smoky Hill River Renewal project. And the first one is, and there are several people here in support of this, of three of these namings. I put in the application from Friends of the River Foundation for a Lakewood Park Trail System and Natural Hillside. That was a name to be determined. The name would be to be determined. What the proposed name I put on the application was relating to the Applequist family for the Natural Hillside. At the very end of the packet, I do have a closer to final naming for this area. It'd be the Quentin and Florence Applequist Memorial Hillside, which is located at Lakewood Park. I provided a description of the location of the facility to be named. Want to point out that this naming exercise has a donation attached to it for a project that is under development right now. It has not been developed. The river has many things that are part of it, and then the raised grant funds and are attributing to those projects. But there's many things that have been identified along the future river renewal project that have not been fully funded and not been fully developed as a project. However, Friends of the River Foundation has been actively fundraising for these projects. This is the first of three, and it's related to Lakewood Park and creating a hillside and new natural trails. The trail system will have scenic overlooks, native trees, grasses, wildflowers. There is a donation related to this from the Applequist family. I I provided some conceptual drawings that are conceptual of what the hillside and trails would look like. It's a picture of Lakewood Park and that hillside, potential hillside, or conceptual hillside, I guess you would say. Let me see. Yeah. What other questions would you have about this potential naming? Also, I'd like to invite Jane Anderson or anybody she sees to potentially speak on this on the Friends of the applicant's behalf, Friends of the River's behalf. I'd appreciate that at this time.
We'd like to say thank you for this opportunity to bring forward some exciting opportunities for the Smoky Hill River renewal. The Friends of the River, we're hoping that you'll approve this naming right. This is for the new Lakewood Hillside. They'll be created out of silt that will come from the riverway to be placed in the dry part of the lake. Roy and Donna Applequist have donated $2 million to have the hillside planted with appropriate plantings and some added natural trails. And their name is after his parents, Quentin and Florence Applequist, Memorial Hillside. The Applequist family have long been generous donors to the community of Salina, and we're very grateful for their belief and support of this project.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What questions would you have? Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just curious what on because there's going to be obviously a give and take as we're increasing the level of the water. And
the lake itself will be connected to the riverway. The lake will it will grow by 8 feet. So, but it's way down from what it used to be. So it's able to handle that amount of water, and the water will come around the sides of the hillside. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's understandable. I was just curious, what are we going to? I was just curious, what kind of additional trails we might gain with it, because obviously, with the increase is going to cut probably significantly. Part of the increase of the water is probably going to, eliminate the trails.
It will eliminate some of the trails, but actually what will happen, you'll have a new hillside, and that's where some natural trails will go in, as well as a lookout area so that you can see the lake from the hillside. So we know that the natural trails that are in the bottom of the lake will disappear, but we're adding in new trails with the hillside. So the lake at one time had been connected to the riverway. I think it was, was that the 1970s? And so there's still it's kind of like a dry ditch, actually. And so there's no trails in that right now. And so what will happen, there'll be a new water marsh for an ecosystem uplift, as well as you'll have the ability to boat in and out of the river and the lake. It'll be a way better fishing lake because the water will be cooler and deeper. Sure. So.
Sure. I have heard your earlier comments and concerned about the natural trails. And as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, this project has this improvement has not been designed yet. It hasn't been. It's just in conceptual stage. Mm-hmm. It's my intent to try to get as many natural trails back as possible, because I've heard your comments and also other people's comments about how much those natural trails are appreciated and desired and want to be kept. But we, as Ms. Anderson did say, we're bringing the lake back to where it was, not even close to where it was at one point in time. But I would love to be able to give you the naming right. We need the donation as part of the project, and I do owe you a future look at what the project looks like in detail when an engineer or designer has an opportunity to look at it. And this goes for all three of these projects. I'm going to be pretty integrally involved, I believe, and I can surely share that with the advisory board at that time. But without the donation, we're probably not going to move forward, right. Or be many years before we're able to.
The donation allows us to do what you're asking for, is to not leave Lakewood in a bad place. It's actually going to create brand new nature trails. So that's what this whole gift is about, to reconstruct and make it as beautiful as it is now. And I think it will be actually better because, you know, in the Midwest, we have so few hillsides. This will be very unique, I think, for this park to have with the lake involved with it.
Sure.
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thanks, Jane. Does somebody want to make a motion?
I so move to have the naming rights of the applicants for the hillside and trails for Lakewood River Renewal. Do I need to have their first and last names?
I'll second.
No, we're good.
You already got seconded.
Yeah, I think we know what you want.
It's right here, written in.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Yeah, she's on mute. All right. Ashley, do you want to approve that?
Yeah, I seconded.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah. Well, she
Okay.
seconded, but she didn't.
she did not vote. Yeah, we didn't hear your vote.
I thought I heard her say aye.
Okay, sorry, I did not. I'll go slower next time. Sorry, I forgot about the Zoom delay. So, all right.
Yeah, sorry. I approve.
Okay. All right. Well, motion approved. We'll move
Next
on
one,
to the next hearing.
Number 3 or 4.
Let's go to number 3.
Friends of the River Foundation has also applied for a naming application, and I've been working closely for all these with Ms. Anderson and Friends of the River Foundation for Kubota Plaza. This is for an area south of Iron Avenue on 4th Street near the current garage, it has to be, it's in areas that the city is in the process of accepting a donation of land for the area, and I think we're pretty close to. Before April 13th, the city will be accepting that land. The donor associated with it for the naming right is Kubota for Kubota Plaza. I've provided a narrative of some of the additional information required in the naming application. There is a donation associated with this plaza to be named as I believe this is a commercial naming because it'd be for Kubota, and they would pay $1.5 million. Plaza is part of the improvements of the Smoky Hill River Festival. It's been there's some concepts relating to it, and as you can see, that 4th Street Plaza, where the location is on 4th Street, kind of just south of the field house, where the railroad tracks are. The conceptual drawing that shows the area along the river and says 4th Street Plaza, and there's numbers 1 through 9. The number 9 there is the future project we're referring to that has not been identified for future park space, but it's not part of the raised grant project for the Smoky Hill River. And again, Friends of the River Foundation is fundraising for the possibility of a project for that area. I've seen some of the preliminary drawings of that future project. I would consider it a great space for people, just my personal opinion, being the recreation guy. People downtown being able to, take lunch there, having a quiet area, listen to the water. There's a potential playground, small playground or a small play area that could go there. So that's the summary of what I have. I didn't know, I'm sure there might be some people in the audience or Ms. Anderson who wishes to speak to this a little more in detail or speak in support of this.
So this is all east of the railroad track, correct?
If you think where the garage is,
correct.
the
Right.
museum, it's across the street.
Right. Okay.
In that
It
grassy
would be
area,
right.
that's where the plaza will
Okay.
go. Yeah.
Kind of like wrapping yourself around Burke King if you were to cross the river.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just like, why is the plaza by downtown? There was committees formed with community members over the years. So this has been the number one area that the community wants us to support. So that's why this area has become very important for the design for the Smoke Hill River Renewal. So this has come out of your own city members. They want to help the downtown in any way they can. And so that's why we believe the Plaza will be a real added, beautiful place for people that are coming downtown to come and sit by the river, hang out. There's also, with the RAISE grant, 4th Street part of it will be moved into a mixed-use space, which means there'll be no curbing. And so the plaza will be not only a place for people to gather, but it could be bigger. It could expand out into 4th Street when this all gets played out. So it becomes a place for people to gather in many different ways. So we feel like this is really essential to create the beautiful bang that we're trying to create for the first phase of the Smoke Hill River Renewal. And the Kubota is gracious enough to want to name this plaza for $1.5 million. Just to let you know a little bit, I took this off of their website, so I'm stealing it from them. If you're not super familiar with Kubota, Kubota's corporate headquarters are in Salina, and it operates 1.6 million square feet of manufacturing space across 8 state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities in central Kansas, including the communities of Abilene, Assyria, Ellsworth, Kip, Lucas, Salina, Tipton, and Enterprise. For over 45 years, Great Plains Manufacturing has been known as a world-class manufacturer of agriculture, farm, and landscaping equipment in central Kansas. Kubota has recently added a new construction equipment division. With over 2,200 dedicated employees, Great Plains Manufacturing continues its dedication toward innovation and professional growth while maintaining its family culture and community values. So we're very honored that they'd like to be part of this project. So we feel like it's a really good match for them and our community.
So just for clarification, it's everything on the east side of the road.
Sorry?
This plaza is on the east side of the road, not on the west side.
Yeah, it's on the east side of the road. Yeah, it's on the west side of the river. Okay. Yeah, and just so you know, there's a piece of boardwalk that will connect in running next to that plaza. So that's a different project, but that boardwalk is the one place in this project where it's actually right on the riverway to create a very close experience for people, a very urban environment. Some of the river will be very wild and green, but this is where really it's urban.
I notice artist concepts, they're always a little different, but there's bollards. And it says removal, like they can actually close the road.
They're removable bollards. That's why you can keep it as a street, or when you want to close it for an event.
Okay, cool.
That's why those bollards are in there. Also, those planter boxes, I don't know if you can see those. Those are also for beauty, but they're also to keep cars from driving up on the plazas because there isn't curbing. So it's a safety feature also.
I would anticipate this area being a special event space and reserved someday.
For sure, and just so you know, the aesthetics of this area is following along with the downtown, playing off the Art Deco, so that will come also on the bridge railings, as well as some of the flooring and other items will hopefully blend in very well with already what's going on in downtown. That's all been a consideration.
Fortunately, the rail tracks has been fixed in that area. It looks much better than it used to.
Yeah.
So,
one thing I've neglected to say is that the last page of your packet there is a conceptual sign. As Ms. Anderson mentioned, it's kind of in compliance with the downtown theme aesthetics. So that's the proposed signage for this area.
Hi, Dee Warren. I happen to have 1 foot in both sides of this. I'm a longtime employee of Great Plains Manufacturing, and I also sit on the board of directors with the Friends of the River Foundation. When we started talking about this, we had a meeting at the office, and we're all very excited about this, the prospect of investing in our community in this manner. We're thrilled to be a part of it. I think Jane mentioned the 1.5 million. Part of our request is over a 10-year period, and we would still have to need to get approval from the corporate office in Osaka, Japan, for this donation. But very excited to be a part of it, and this is the first step in that process for us to ask Japan for approval.
I've left out a very major donor in this. Brad Studi and Paula Freed are the donors of the land the Plaza is sitting on. They've donated to the Friends, which we've just signed over to the city, and it will be closed in the end of March 25th. So we're very grateful for them and all their support to help make this riverway possible.
Anybody else wish to speak? Okay. Bring it back to the board for a motion.
I move that we send a recommendation for the naming of the 4th Street for the river renewal. I guess I don't know how to properly word it. Plaza for the renewal.
Plaza,
Kubota Plaza.
To be renamed Kubota Plaza.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
And thank you for both the Applequist.
Thank you very
and
much.
also, Kubota. Appreciate it. Thank you.
We have a lot of Kubota here.
Yes, you do.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Last naming exercise of the day, for this board anyways, for this meeting, is from a donation from the Earl Bain Foundation relating to Founders Park. My image of Founders Park was lackluster, but it's the area behind the Salina Community Theater, kind of butting up against the back end, butting up against the field house somewhat. You can access, it's just south, kind of southeast from the Salina Field House. Founders Park has some historical components to it. There is a trail that is planned for that area as part of a kind of a secondary project for the Smoky Hill River Renewal Plan or project. Again, it's not something that's actually being funded by the RAISE grant or by the city funds currently for the project. However, Friends of the River Foundation have been fundraising for a naming right for that area. Founders Park would probably, the park itself would stay Founders Park. However, the trail, the name of the proposed naming is Earl Bain Foundation Founders Park Trail. There's also to be some seating areas in there, and Earl Bain Foundation would donate $1.6 million for the naming of the trail, Founders Park. And then as I read in some of the literature that Friends of the River, this will be a important trail that connects the downtown to the Smoky Hill River project, which in turn kind of connects you to Oakdale Park in that area. So it's an important connection piece for someone to access the downtown. So it's exciting in that regard. Let's see, I provided a few images, really one, which was my not so great image of Founders Park, but that's for the area where it's at. And you can see the field house on the top left corner of that image and Founders Park on the bottom right. That kind of banks or wraps around the Salina Community Theater.
This is from the Parks and Recreation drone.
This is from city mapping.
I know, it just was...
and then that butts up to Iron Avenue and accessible from Iron Avenue to access this park. And we anticipate this is also the location of some already planned improvements to the river channel, where there's some step-down pools going to be occurring. And so it's going to be quite a different area, I think, in the future. So And again, the sign, it meets the aesthetic for the Smoky Hill River renewal plan. And again, I'm asking for a recommendation, and if there's any members of, I guess there's no members left, except for, I'm sorry, that's not true. Tom's here and Jane's here. So if they want to speak on behalf of of the Earl Bain.
Earl Bain is very private. I asked them, but they don't come out for things like this. We would like to explain, thank you, that was a good explanation. And the Founders Park Trail would be in that area next to Theodore Salina. And Earl Bain did donate $1.6 million for this. This piece of trail in the Smoky Hill River in the Founders Park, it has no support from the City of Salina or the Raise Grant. And so this gift will actually create the connection needed to link the downtown and the new plaza on 4th Street to the rest of the Riverway. So we'd also like to say that Earl Bain also has sponsored 4 other trails in North Salina. So their total gift is actually $2 million. And we would just like to say we're so grateful. And this is the largest gift Earl Bain has ever given any charity at this point. This is the largest single gift. But since its founding in '94, Earl Bain Foundation, they've given $18 million in grants and scholarships to students and charities located in Saline County. So they're such a great foundation. We're grateful that they have such a belief in the Smoky Hill River project. One of the board members told me that they're in love with this project because it's so democratic. Everyone will get to benefit from it. It's just not for a certain group or certain entity. It's for actually everyone, including our visitors. So that's what this is about. So we're excited. We were really worried we wouldn't find money for this trail, so we're very grateful for them for the ability to create that connection with downtown.
Any questions?
Tom?
Yep.
No?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to name the Earl Bain Foundation Trails at Founders Park.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Now you can leave unless you want to stick around for the rest of the exciting meeting.
Tom, you have a new job.
We're working Tom to death. He's getting about 2 weeks off now, even though he's retired.
Yeah. Nice job, Tom.
Yeah.
He's the head of our development committee, and he's really done a fantastic
Yep.
job.
Well, thank you very much. Yep.
Thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to old business. It doesn't look like we have any old business. Project status updates. We've already talked about the Jerry Ivy splash pad.
Jerry Ivy. So just to add a little more, so they're putting in that tank, and then there'll be the mechanical unit, and then I think the next big step is probably bringing those equipment that is sitting on that pad, that be mounted to that pad. And you'll start seeing actually looking like a splash pad pretty soon. So I'm excited about that. Then there's, of course, owner training sometime in April, and I mentioned that, and we're preparing for that now to make sure we have all available staff there to make sure we take care of that properly. And we do have some new things in there that are interesting to me, because I'm a former aquatics guy. There's UV technology, which is ultraviolet light, which helps disinfect water. It really reduces your chlorine consumption, and it also helps with organic matter being in an outdoor location. Chemical controller. We've never had a chemical controller in an outdoor splash pad. Almost 10 years I've been here, so it's for maintenance. This will be above and beyond as far as what we expected for maintenance to maintain a splash pad. It's almost like a commercial swimming pool, so it's exciting. Barclay Park dog improvements that I mentioned earlier. We put benches in and new waste stations with trash cans and dispensing bag dispensers. I think I mentioned sometime. It's a 20-week lead time or so for the new shelters. So we'll get that sometime. I anticipate in the summer, maybe late summerish, and be able to install that. And then we really have those improvements solidified and finished at Barclay Park. Coming up in June or July, Dennis's staff will close that third pod. Number 3? Yeah, number 3. The one that doesn't have the shelter on it now is the one that's closing, and if you recall, we let that rest for a year. We overseed the area to allow the grass to heal, irrigate it, and give it fertilizer and take care of it for a year. But allow it. Then we still have 3 pods open. Concrete improvements. We're pretty much close to wrapping up with phase 4A, and I mentioned before we just have to do some seeding of the areas that were disturbed for the previous concrete projects. Phase 4B is we're working with our engineer to put together that project with the areas identified. And we actually have a field check with that group in 2 weeks or a week and a half. And then I anticipate we'll be going out to bid for concrete improvements at the end, 1st of April, mid-April. And so this summer we'll be doing some concrete work through a vendor. And also I think Dennis has some concrete improvements coming up as well for some smaller pieces of land or smaller areas of sidewalk. I think I mentioned I wanted to add one in here, and I forgot what it was. I remember now, but I neglected to add in here was Matson Field. The the former dugouts at Matson Field are no longer there. They are being designed. We have to get a structural engineer to look at what we're proposing to do. It's really neat. But once we get a structural engineer stamped on some drawings, I'd like to be able to show you what we're trying to do there. If you recall that the top of that dugout had a precast concrete cap. We retain those, or we're going to reuse those caps to put back on top of the new dugouts when they get restored. Trying to work on that. They're out there today working on those. So.
Will there be more airflow in those dugouts than there was before?
I can't say if there's more airflow or not.
Those are horrible. When they were all concrete, like you get in there on a hot summer day and there is no air movement in those dugouts whatsoever. So,
well, we're still in the design process.
I was just say keep that in mind.
I can put some windows in there. I don't know about
so.
I don't know if windows would be structurally sound, but I will. But I'll pass that comment off along to our facility maintenance superintendent, who's leading that project.
Okay. General announcements.
All right, I got a couple questions still. Passenger, are those going to be bleachers? They got the bleachers there, and then they have these raised things on each side. Will be bleachers underneath those, or?
I believe we're planning on putting bleachers underneath, and we're putting the top would be the elevated seating platform for people to bring chairs up.
Oh, so that's what that is.
Yep.
The elevated seating platform.
I went on top of it today for the first time. Mm-hmm. The view is outstanding.
I know. They look pretty cool. I just didn't know if I was going to,
It actually has a great view of either Pestinger or Dean.
Right.
That's what I was going to say. The concept was if you're on that second platform, you can watch 2 ball games at the same time.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where Travis and I will be July 4th.
Yeah. what tournament's in?
What's that?
Grand Slam.
Oh, that's Grand Slam. Great. All right.
Well, July I was talking about Skyfire, but sure.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Skyfire 2.
Yes, and we met a person out there today is the reason I was there. Travis wanted to be there. We had a conflict. But his staff member and I were there. We're putting in a PA system for that field. And that was part of our responsibility of the partnership with Salina Baseball Enterprises.
It's just making it look more finished.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's nice.
Yep. Dugout's not as big as Dean, but it's still adequate.
Oh, that's a heck of a field, though. Yep.
Yeah.
I like how they tie the bullpen to the dugouts. That was nice.
It was nice, yeah. And if you recall last year, we were concerned. We were talking to you about getting grass to grow, and it looks like it's still a little bit dormant. But I bet you a month from now, it's going to be green as green can get. That's my guess. Turn that irrigation system on, and I bet it'll be nice and green. And you had another, I think you had another question that we.
Yeah,
you emailed.
the medians on Broadway, the new ones, does that fall underneath Parks and Rec now also?
Maintenance of them, it does. That is a public works driven
Parks?
project.
Just like keep Dennis busy over there.
Yeah. And I think they're adding, it's under the mowing contract, so, but it'll be nice. It'll look great when it's done. They retained the trees, so we don't have to put in new trees. Yeah.
You keep getting more things added. I was just, hoping you get staff then too.
I don't know. I can't say it. Well, I don't know. I'm not familiar with the project to start making comments.
Yeah, because it will look really nice. I mean, I'm glad the city's doing that. It's just
the stamped concrete will be nice, which will be similar to what we have in some of our parks areas. So.
Yep. I've got one thing. I mentioned this to Jeff, and he thought it would be appropriate for me to bring it to this board just for some discussion or see if everybody's okay with it. If you watch the city commission, county commission meetings, when you get to the citizens forum, they do specifically request that the items that people speak to at that point are not pertaining to anything on the agenda. Last couple of meetings, we have had some situations where we've had people come up and discuss some things, but then we have those bullet points later in the agenda. So I asked Jeff about, does it make sense for us to just add something to that line item on the agenda for items that aren't specifically called out on the agenda? He was for that, but he thought it would be best to see if any of you guys had any issues with that before we make the change in the next agenda.
Do we have to make a motion or just do it?
No, I don't think so. I
just
just wanted to get a consensus. Not that you have to.
Is
give a
everybody good with that?
That's great. Yep.
I just wanted a consensus from the board. That's something that how we can improve this board, and that goes for anything. Let's say you want citizens forum to be number one, which we can't have a number one because we have to call a meeting to order. But let's say citizens forum should be, or it's up to you all if you wish to change the agenda. I just like to have it as a consensus of the board to make those.
It was just a little confusing at the last meeting because they spoke, and then when we got to the agenda, they spoke again, kind of said the same thing, and so I thought that would just help clear up some confusion, I guess.
And,
so
and it would avoid confusion of Manuela as well. Where do I put these comments at?
Yeah. So, okay, sounds like everybody's for that. So
citizens are welcome to give presentations or ask questions of the Parks Recreation Advisory Board for items not on items that does. You said pertain.
Well, or items not on the agenda.
Items on the agenda. Okay.
Yep.
Good enough.
Okay.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else? Any other general announcements? All right. Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thanks, Ashley.
All right. Thanks, Ashley.